Alright, kiddos. Finally there. It's finally that time. I'm not going to talk forever about it before jumping into it. We'll just jump into it. Nice of Sony this time to not give me the notice at the 1 minute marker that my whatever the it's come up so many times I gloss over. I don't even pay attention to what it says anymore. Something about my bandwidth not being good enough to broadcast or whatever. Even though it always is, at least once you get past the first minute. So I was away AFK for about a little while, and was on this screen. Should have definitely chosen a better screen, even if the player upgrade sets certainly was a big portion of my NHL19. You call it gameplay? I don't know if it's kind of gameplay. Non-game related gameplay trajectory for the year, and how I believe I haven't seen it from anybody else that's posted publicly, but pretty sure I was the first one on the PS4 side, at least as far as those again that I've been able to see, like from YouTubers or whatever, that had Joe Sakic legend card from completing the sets. I did way too many of them, and that's part of the reason why mid to late August my team overall is just now creeping back up to 97. And I say back up to, it was falsely there when I had the 99 Austin Matthews and Duchesne loan cards on my team, and I don't really know why that made so much of a difference, because I have other 99s now, and generally speaking the overall rating of like my whole team is improved. So yeah, and I guess because my backup Tendy is a 90 overall, and my my head guy is a 93. That when it went offline versus CPU, it says 99 offense, 99 defense, 90. I don't know, 92 I think for goaltending, and I don't know if like I have to find a way to boost the goaltending rating as a way to get the overall higher, or if it's just that like maybe my back end guys are lower, because I don't mind choosing a 93 or a 94 overall player, you know, if they have what I'm looking for or whatever. And in some cases I would actually almost prefer, even in these free agency cards that are seemingly abundant, I off the top of my head I could think of a few that are 93 overall that I would much rather have than plenty of 99s, because a lot of the 99s aren't in my opinion aren't true end game 99s anyways. So yeah, no. This isn't about that though, so we'll move on. I'm just saying that I did a bunch of sets, and that I guess sort of helped me progress, so that I wasn't kind of stuck in the low 80s, moved kind of more towards mid 80s, and eventually closer to 90. Certainly once the all the free monthly legends came. Even though I don't have Ronick, I don't have others as well. So yeah, moving on. This is about one specific thing, and we will get there, but I have to leave this screen and it'll immediately pop up. So I said back in October, when I first started doing broadcasts on this fake channel, that back then we were huge. You know, we had 10 subscribers, and like it usually would have, you know, an average of 2 people that would pop in for a during a broadcast. Yeah, probably probably partially due to my super high privacy settings. I don't really even know how anyone would 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 have this pop up for them over through the Sony system. Um, but I mean, once it's on YouTube, it's on YouTube. And even though it's, it didn't get demonetized because it was never monetized. But even so, there's it's like the opposite, and it's like the negative. It's like negative SEO. There's no tags. There's no nothing. I don't promote it at all. So as far as how their engines and systems typically work on that platform, um, I wouldn't even really know how somebody would kind of accidentally um, stumble upon these broadcasts when they're up as live replays. And yet, going back to my midpoint of this, when I opted to make significant changes over here on the NHL side, uh, I had picked up my second game for this platform, Red Dead Redemption 2, and had the intention of kind of playing it out from pretty close to when it first came out on release. And it was and is a pretty extensive game, not just in terms of its open world nature, but in terms of like how long it takes to do stuff. And if you're like me and you hadn't really been playing games of that sort or nature, it I felt certainly behind the curve. Like I know I'm behind the curve here, and on hockey, I don't even bother to try to be competitive in any of the online aspects of this game. I don't see that changing ever, because even if I would have to improve at like an exponential rate compared to the current player pool, and also have plenty of folks leave the player pool than those that are coming in. And as far as removal is concerned, I would need the new players coming in to be of a lower quality than the ones that are leaving. And I don't see any of that happening. So I know my position, which is like not able to crack the top 1,500 of quote unquote players or accounts over here on the PS4 side in mid-August in a competitive event. So is what it is. As far as the RDR2 stuff, it was pretty much as soon as either as soon as online was dropped, or in that like week when it was in the process of getting dropped, I gave up on that game. But like, long story short, the same way that I, suck balls at being able to try to just even shoot properly in this game, hockey, with a puck and stick, shooting also in RDR2 was a bit of an issue. Most of the mechanics of the game, if you just kind of play your own thing and don't worry about progression and stuff like that, in my opinion, it was fine. And even as far as like game progression, if you're supposed to go out on like a bounty hunt or something like that, the game is idiot proofed. Thankfully for all of us idiots out there, including myself, definitely in that category. You're supposed to try to win the draw against the CPU opponent or whatever, and it's fun when you actually manage to do it. But if you don't, after like 3 tries, it gives you a chance to just skip it. And suddenly the person's tied up, and you shot him correctly. You probably get less like points towards completion and shit like that, but I don't really care. So I just typically move on from those sort of things. But as far as, in my opinion, more specifically tough to do stuff, like one of the completionist aspects was you had to what the fuck was it? It was something about 3 birds from a moving train. I don't know the specifics beyond that. I don't know if it was like 3 different types or just 3 birds in general. And also, like, the moving trains, for, at least in my experience, even playing on like the super easy version level of it or whatever, they were none too pleased when you try to do anything on a moving train other than just kind of sit there, uh, and then once it reaches its station, like you definitely can't even walk forward um, from your car to the next car without suddenly becoming, you know, Bonnie and Clyde or is it better? Damn it, I had it for like 2 seconds because I wasn't planning on talking about it, but think of a good train robber back in those days. Um, Jesse. Well, let's just go with Jesse James. That's better than Bonnie and Clyde. They weren't doing really trains all much. Anyways, yeah. So I don't even know if I completed that, but if I did, I definitely didn't do all the things in that category. Because I'm not like actually good at the base aspect of the game. That was November, and at that time I had moved both the NHL stuff and the RDR2 stuff over to Twitch, where I established a channel, had no followers to start with, and again didn't care about promoting it. Just wanted to put stuff, content out there. Throw it up against the wall, see what sticks. Well, it turns out I didn't know. I should have known, having been someone who had watched people do various other things on Twitch live. That I guess unless you set it up differently or you're recording your own stream for later dissemination or whatever, at least for me on the kind of free to use, free to play side, there was no problem at all doing the Twitch live streams. I think I'm still technically connected in where I could go do that right now if I wanted to, as opposed to doing this live on YouTube. The difference is YouTube saves these as live replays after the fact, whereas Twitch does not. And it took me more than a week, and I was broadcasting regularly. I was doing marathon sessions, like at least in Red Dead, I did 72 hours straight once. So I mean, there was a lot of none of it was any good, but there was a lot of content. And then after, I'd say probably at least a week and a half, if not 2 weeks, I finally noticed. I went to go check on my channel on Twitch just to see what was up, and there was no content there, and it was there's nothing been here. Don't know what you're looking for, and I became very confused, and eventually realized they don't save your broadcast streams for you. So there's no this that no one is in watching right now. If anyone is actually hearing this later, you'll hear it later on the live replay, or just replay of the live stream over on YouTube. Twitch doesn't do that, or at least didn't do that back when I was using it for this purpose back in November, at the latest probably December of just this past year, 2018. And so I just said fuck it, and I gave up on Twitch, and I've been back over on YouTube since then. But I also quit this game, NHL, about 3 times, 2 or 3 of those times for what felt like 2 months total, each time. It's part of the reason why I don't have all of the monthly legends. Also part of the reason why just today, we'll see how, I'll put the timer back up, see how long I've been fucking talking for. Just today, I'm finally getting the thing that anybody who basically played this game and didn't quit before the new year probably already has, and now has upgraded to a 99, 15 and a half minutes. It's actually not that bad for me, considering how tangential and all that shit I tend to be. So yeah, I'm just getting this now, and if we could circle back to 14 and a half minutes ago, I had put it in the description, and I said back in October, maybe November at the latest, and then when it wasn't kind of following my expectations as far as timing was concerned, I was starting to think, well, geez, this might not happen as quickly as I expected it to be. And I honestly believed that I was this thing that I'm just now going to get, that all of you who played this game have already. I thought that I thought I was going to have it like the latest mid-January, and then when that started to not work out, and I kind of gave up on the game around that time. Even when I came back, like for part of February, part of March, most of March probably, I think. Um, I still I don't know. I was like I would do the math, and the math is is basically 3x times day. It's not that difficult. Um, and how long should it really get to 400? Anybody figure out yet what I'm talking about here? So it's actually 7 hours and 50 minutes, 50. So it's not a full 8 hours. So there's always going to be a chance, if you're super on top of it, you set your alarms, etc. There's always going to be a chance that you can pull 3 of these per day. And I'm not going to advocate for automating it or setting up bots or anything like that. But if you can be either on your machine, or if you got some connection where you can, I don't know, play on somebody else's or whatever, if you're going to be at a different location or something like that, you definitely should have been able to have a chance at the maximum number of the kind of the maximum being meaning the shortest time frame for completing this objective or milestone, and that again it's 3 per day. So in a 24-hour period, you can actually pull 3 of these and still have an extra half an hour left over, because there's a 10-minute difference, and so that 10 times 3 is 30 minutes. This isn't like hard math. So again, you're doing 3 of these a day. If you needed 300, that's super easy math. That's 100 days. 100 days is basically, a little less than 3.5 months. So you need to do actually another 100 on top of that. And so that's basically 33 and a third days on top of the first 100. So 133 and a third days is the shortest amount of time that you can do to complete this objective or milestone. So that would take you into just, what's that, 4.5 months? So again, I was thinking, I started 9/11. So I was thinking 1 month, 10/11, 2 is 11/11, which is just happens to be it's why you shouldn't talk about stuff live. It's I'm not going to go over to my calculator and look it up. It's Hero Day for soldiers. Yeah, it's a bad day for me. It's a bad date for me for different reasons, and I think that's clouding my ability to remember the fucking name of the day here in the United States. Moving on. So 11/11 would be 2 months. 12/11 would be 3 months. So clearly I was off on that thinking originally. 4 months would be February. So I mean, like, even if you were behind, again, I was still thinking about March, April at the latest. This should have happened. For anybody that wasn't super on the grind. So we've got to be 20 minutes in to get to the point. If you've really not figured out what I'm talking about yet, I'm talking about daily reward packs. Let's go. I mean, that's not really exciting, but there you go. If you never read stuff, come back every 7 hours, 50 minutes to receive a full pack of goodies. I'd argue whether or not these are full packs of goodies. I've now received 400 of them exactly. And the best that's done, other than giving me things to put together for the monthly rewards that are always untradeable, would also be for trade-in sets that are also untradeable. So I'm not talking shit about it, and I am about to get the thing that I've wanted, the second most desired thing for me when the game launched. The first one being Joe Sakic. Have that, legend him up already. 99. The first legend I legended up. I don't even know. This was the second one, and it hit open pack, and it shouldn't do it right away, Should have to actually open. Let's go ahead and skip that. Doesn't really matter what untradeable silver whale, silver rare we get. It was nice of them to give me an extra 400 coins, since it seems like 100 pops up way more frequently than any other number, which I'd like to test out, but unfortunately, and it's a nice little roundup too, you know, to give 400 coins on your 400th pull of your daily rewards, and I don't know why it's only showing a 1 up there next to the available. I'm going to feel really stupid if I'm off on this, but I was pretty sure that when I looked at it last, it was $3.99. So we'll find out, but this would be nice to get 400 coins in your 400th pull. I definitely did not record all 400 pulls, and so even though that would be a in my opinion, from a like scientific, social science perspective, 400 is a super small subset, but it's certainly more than just this one time that I did it, or maybe the 10 to 20 times that I have actually broadcast this, because I was doing something completely unrelated and maybe like needed the monthly collectible in order to do the something else, and so I recorded pulling the thing and just basically doing what I did here, which is skipping. And then also, I've said this before, but in case any YouTubers, current EA Game Changers, or maybe if they're gonna actually do any new ones for NHL 20, I've not heard of any new ones, but it wouldn't surprise me. And I also haven't heard of really anybody leaving other than those two that were forced out for good reason, in my opinion. Sorry if you're friends with them or you're that person, but whatever. Yeah, so Jesus, train of thought. What? Oh, so yeah, the YouTubers, they like every single one of them, when they have opened their packs, like they'll be doing a broadcast, particularly like on the Twitch streams. It seems like, that they then like port over to YouTube, which makes sense. I understand the logistics of that. They'll open a pack at this because like they're already recording or whatever, or the timer came up and they don't want to, you know, they don't want to like have FOMO. Plus, most of the game dynamics, if you're in HUT, which is all that a certain subset, most players who play the game care about at all, as far as game modes are concerned. Almost anything you could be doing in HUT, this will pop up for you anyways, even if you like didn't want to open it. And I know I just clicked this like 2 seconds ago, but I don't think it gives you an option for like open later. I think it's like either just open or okay, or you maybe then if there are two options, the other one might be like check for more rewards or something, but there aren't any more rewards. So yeah, I like the 400 coins and the 400 times opening here, but a lot of YouTubers, as I said, they'll click this. So on the PS4 side, it's clicking X, and then it's redeem coins, and then it'll flow up to the top right, those 400 coins, which for me makes my total 24,744. I do have a bunch of stuff on offer at the moment. I don't know if any of it has buy now prices. I'm just kind of doing a clearance sale sort of deal, setting them at the minimum for 3 days and seeing if anyone has an interest. And so I don't think that anything is set for expiration in less than a day. I think there's a couple things that will expire on tomorrow's reset, so 2 p.m. Pacific time on whatever the fuck, Friday. I don't even know what the date is. What is that, like the 15th or something? I don't even know. Oh, 16th. But anyway, my point was, a lot of YouTubers, they click this and they click redeem coins. Now, if you're like just super anal, or I mean, a lot of hockey players in real life that have, you know, transferred over to playing on the, you know, this version because they didn't make it, tend to be pretty superstitious folks. Something's working, you try to stick with it. You don't want to like tempt fate. by saying something's going to happen before it happens or whatever. So I get it if that's the reason. You want to click that just to ensure that you're going to redeem the coins. But as far as time constraints are concerned, and it would seem strange that probably, what is this, 30, 35 minutes into this thing, I'm talking about trying to save you time, but I am. Uh, if you're trying to just rip through these things, and this is what you get an untradeable contract, you get an untradeable monthly collectible, some amount of coins, which is what we're talking about, and then a player card. And I'm, maybe this is only more recently. I can't think back to every single one of the previous 399 pulls of this, but I don't think I've even pulled a gold common. So I think silver rares are like the highest overall quality that you get here. You could, as I did this week, I, I pulled Christian Purbu, which I'm not going to go off again on how that means anything, but he's in this his base card, because he's got upgrades now. His base card, because everyone has a free agency card at this point. This dude's Sammy. Are we going to try to say this name? Latinmaki? No idea who you are, bro. So even he probably has a free agency card that's like, 93 plus, might even be like a 98 or 99. But yeah, Purbu's got one. It's an upgraded card, but his base card, Purbu's base card, from day one, back on 9/11, on the PlayStation side, for those that didn't have EA access, because he didn't have that on PlayStation last year. So not talking about Xbox kids. Back on 9/11, all the cards that came with the game originally, Purbu was one of, I thought it was only 4, but I'm now starting to rethink that it might have been as high as like 8. And I don't really feel like checking, but he was one of at least 4 bronze common cards. The game did not differentiate at all between those 4 or maybe 40, and I have no idea, but I think it was a very small number. Did not differentiate at all between the bronze commons and the bronze rares, even though this comes from the same production house as FIFA, in which they absolutely do differentiate between commons and rares or specials for every type of grade. And special is actually a type of grade as well. So it's not just bronze, silver, and gold. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, Purbu happens to be a goalie in real life, so he, being bronze, he came with +1 3 synergies. So it was a pretty common thing for not just him specifically, but other bronze goalies as well, to get slotted into your backup slot in order to assist with your synergies. But yeah, I don't think I've ever pulled even a gold common from these daily reward packs. Maybe I did, and I forgot because it's been so long. I really don't think I ever got a gold rare, which, for me would mean like an 80, an 81, or an 82, 83 maybe on the max side, like a Phil Kessel that I've been given like 75 times in this game. Never any one of his cards that were higher than 83 for some reason. I have no idea why. So yeah, this is what you get. You get a tradable card, and if you're not doing the trade-ins, these things have no value. In which case, you should like basically click this and quick sell for 0 on the player card. I don't know. I mean, otherwise, unless you just like having a very high number on your collection. This year in 19, they're filling out collections of players on certain teams or anything like that. There's no benefit to doing that at all. There's going to be squad building in 20, and if it's not part of 20, by this time next year, so 12 months from now, I would definitely expect it soon, like in 21 or 22. for them to include much of what they have over on FIFA. Again, where you have to kind of like build a squad for a squad building challenge to try to build up to a team. There's a picture of an Austin Matthews kind of cover that suggests that you'd be able to like put 7 different cards into a collection from a squad building perspective in order to obtain some sort of Austin Matthews card. So I highly suspect, I've got no inside information, and if anyone does, they have not they've not given it to me for good reason. But I highly suspect that will be a part of the game, but they'll probably ease the casual hockey fans into that aspect of it. But if it goes off gangbusters, they may adjust their schedule for 20 on updates, releases, etc., and try to expand that specific aspect of the HUT game mode. Anyways, let's move on. As I said, everyone likes to click that and then click on redeem coins for the 400 coins. But guess what? I could do it over here. I could do it over here. I could do it over here. So let's do it on the far right, the furthest away I can get from the coins. Just do the L3, send all the collection. You see below that it says quick sell all plus 400. I don't really recommend doing that one because I don't know, you might need the contracts eventually, and at this time of the year you're actually getting pretty decent stuff from the monthly collectibles. And again, if you're not doing trade-ins, then the player card has no value for you, but I don't see why you would just remove the other two for no coins. So you can click send all to my collection. The 400 coins are going to roll up. Now we're going to see, okay, cool. So that number has changed to 3. So I got 1 of 5 towards my next dailies, so that's fun. But in milestones, kind of lacking, I think, here, right? I mean, got 1 of 7 towards Sawchuk. Kind of surprised they even have the 1. And 2 of 9 towards Horton. I don't think those are going to happen. But as you can see, I have all the rest of them. And as you can see, in case you never played this game or you forgot because you got these back in September or something, you didn't get this one that I just got because that has a timer on it. It does not show you, what it was. First off, Team of the Week and Draft Champions had nothing to do with any players at all. Those were simply coins and packs that maxed out at a gold pack. But all the rest of these, they came with, starting with lone alumni players and coins, like every other one or whatever. Like one would be coins and the next one would be that player, and it would progress upward. And some of them, like which one? Like the make hits is Darren McCarty, and you only get an alumni when you finally end up completing that one. That is not a legend card. Whereas shots on goal is Mike Gartner, and I believe it's a 91 overall, but a pretty boss shooter early in the game. Mike Gartner, if you can get, again, it doesn't tell you what it is that you completed. I think it's like 5,000, maybe 10,000. That seems more accurate. But at least 5, if not 10K shots on goal was what was required to get that. And I got that one and this one and one other one that I can't think of off the top of my head, kind of recently. Here's the complete sets one, that was Sakic. So at least 2 of these, McCarty being one, I thought one other one too, only gave you an alumni. That'd be Moog, I guess. Moog. What would was he complete? He's complete something. He's either complete games, HUT challenges, or objectives, and I forget. I'm just gonna guess objectives because I don't actually know. But I think for some reason I'm feeling like the Moog one is also like it's like an 89 overall alumni card, same as McCarty, as opposed to a legend. Well, let's talk about what we're here for. So here you can see, we actually do see the progression. After your 50th daily reward pack, it's 1,000 coins. 100, you get your first shot at that time for any version of Chris Chelios. So it was an 85 overall loan card. It was pretty good. 2,500 coins after 200, and then the 88 overall loan Shelly after 300, and that's kind of it. So it went, it gave you something for 50. It was 1,000 coins, and it would have been, I think, I don't know. I need to stop making it seem like I'm just going to judge everything in here, but I don't know. I feel like maybe there should have been one for 150. Just keep people, keep players, addicted, and reminding themselves to come in and check in on stuff. So now I'm just going to click on collect all rewards. This is going to give me 5,000 coins, so it'll be just shy of 30K. But it's also going to give me what I've wanted since day one. Interestingly enough, one of my favorite non-current Chicago Blackhawks players, even if most people tend to think of him at least as a Red Wing, which was at the time kind of like the opposite and the worst team you could be on. If you're, as a player, if you're a Blackhawks fan who wants to, whatever. Anyways, he played for other teams that were also competitive with the Blackhawks. But this card is actually a Blackhawks alumni, and if I were to magically come up with the draft collectibles that I don't have and wanted to upgrade him, I believe he is a choice pack. And I'm pretty sure that you can choose Blackhawks, which I probably would do. So I'm going to go ahead and collect these rewards. See how long it took me. Looking at 732 up top there, which means that's a while. Please tell me I didn't take an hour to do this. All right. Cool beans, as the young kids are just now saying here in 1994. Okay, so when that goes off my screen there, please, thanks. Go ahead and collect these, and then it goes away. And that sounds like a lot of coins. I mean, I'm not saying I don't appreciate 5K, but it felt like I don't know, like I just sold something for $1 million or something like that. So I don't know how I would ever do this. I guess if there were enough other players out there, I could probably find my way to advancing to, I don't know why they phrase it like this, Division 1 or higher. There technically isn't anything higher than Division 1. You could win a title in Div 1, and you could maybe make an argument that that's technically higher than just advancing to the division, which would be being able to not get relegated and maintain or stay in Division 1 would technically be as good or better than advancing as well, but I wouldn't call that or higher. If there are enough players out there, I guess I could maybe try to shoot for that, but I'm pretty sure I got bumped all the way back to Div 9 from just having not wanting to mess with the competitive seasons and the events and stuff like that too much. So when I'd have a daily that would require me to complete an online game, I typically would just go AFK. And I actually recorded a lot of that stuff just to kind of see, from my perspective, how much of a dick the other player would choose to be. I mean, if you want to run up the score, fine. It has no bearing whatsoever on the outcome. It's just win or lose in online seasons. So from my perspective, I don't know. I kind of feel like if you're up 3-0 and the other player is not playing at all, and you have to kind of sit through the 2 intermissions as well as all the replays, I think I would probably go, maybe not AFK, but I'd probably at least put my controller down and just be like, all right, the fastest way for this to end is for me to not do anything since the other guy's not doing anything. And then just peace out and take your dub. So, the people who run up the score, that's a thing, that's fine, whatever. But the real pricks, in my opinion, are those that when they come up against you in that sort of situation, they go way out of their way to try to injure your players. I think the most I ever had was like six of my players got injured, and considering that there's no subs, like in FIFA, like there's no sub reserve whatever that you can put in that like wasn't part of the original setup. So you've got your 12 forwards, and then in this year's version of NHL19, you also had then your 6 forwards that are playing defense. So you get your 18 forwards. You got 2 goalies. The goalies generally don't get hurt, but it's possible. So, I mean, out of pardon me, out of 18. Wait, did I just mess that all up? 4 times 3, 12 plus 6, 18, and then the 2 goalies. But we're not going to count the goalies. So 18 forwards. I feel like I said 16 for some reason, but 18 forwards. Take 6 of them away, man. That's you just knocked off 33% of my team, and I'm not even playing you. It's just kind of a dick move. All it really did was just require me to use 6 healing consumables that I had no other need for anyways. So I didn't really care. I just kind of felt like it's pretty shitty. And if, again, like in FIFA, if these guys here in Vancouver switch over the like injury fix thing, the way that it is in FIFA, where it's actually like based off of the games, even though, like when you get it, that's technically what you have here as well, even though there's only one type of healing card. That's the difference. And you almost never have a player who takes an injury in hockey for more than a 10-game span. But they can, I believe in soccer, in FIFA, they can take multiple types of injuries in a game. So like, especially if you like put them back in and they weren't really ready to go or whatever, they can have their leg and their arm like in the same game or whatever. So then you got to use a leg card and an arm card, or you can use like an all injury card, and I don't know if that really takes care of both at the same time. I've never had that come up, now that I think about it. But point being, they're a bit more specific over in that game, and I think that there's different lengths, and maybe the gold one is a little bit more lengthy or something like that. I'd really hope to not kind of see that sort of bullshit over here in NHL even if I'm just casually watching other people play 20 on YouTube. I don't know how I would necessarily see that, because most people don't really get into the super specific aspects of the non gameplay mechanics like I do and just did for the last hour. But yeah, it's I would not want to see that happen. So we good? What's up? Progression, yeah. I mean, it would be nice if I'd actually be able to win some online / competitive season games, so I can actually move on to the next progression. Because I think this one, since I needed to win one game with an overall of 79 plus, I think I'm probably. I'd only have like maybe like 20 more of these to go. Some of which require you. I mean, this one required 350 shots on goal. So I mean, it's just. I think like if I were suddenly able to get wins online, and then that means I've got Sawchuk and Horton on my team, so I can put my Sawchuk into a gold rare reroll, and I can actually. Get ripping with Horton, with an actual defender playing on defense. Yeah, so I mean that would happen obviously, because I'd be winning those games. I'd eventually earn those milestone legends. But so if you just assume that that happened, if I was winning at like a still like a below average clip for compared to the rest of the player pool, and therefore wouldn't be sitting on these types of progression objectives for, I don't know, 4 months at a time. I think it would probably be only about like 6 or 7 years until I'd finally get that Owen Nolan, um, which according to the legend upgrade thing, you can click out to that, right? It's only like the second or third page, right? Uh, yeah, not that one, because Coffee and Bernie Perrin got added today. So that one there, that's showing a 97. I can show you in the sets as well. It's showing a 97, and it's an alumni card. It's not a legend. It is untradeable though, and with I think just 2 draft collectibles, 3 at most, you can bump that up to a 99, and probably choose what fucking team you want them on or whatever. So I would guess that that's a 97. I stopped paying attention to it back when people like No Sleeves 12 were pointing out the fact that like you were never going to get it, and then I went to some of the source material of the folks who had actually worked through what all the progressions were and kind of the amount of time that it would take an average person to do and the difficulty level, etc., etc. It's not just that I'm terrible at the game and therefore can't win when I'm faced with an actual human opponent in an online or competitive seasons match, as you can see from the objectives that are scrolling on the screen there. But because one of them's for progression and the other one's for the Sawchuck thing. I've literally only won 40 times total all year, so in 11 months, whatever. Point being, even if I was able to win online again at like a decent clip, um, and especially now that there's so little left in the game for me to in HUT, for me to try to like focus on completing, particularly with less than a month left to go and before the game completely dies. Um, I just don't see how I'd ever get anywhere close to being able to complete those kind of things. And the card looks nice, and I could probably round up eventually to two draft collectibles if that's all it requires. Getting like 6, 7, or 8 for some of the other players that are on there a bit tougher to do, in my opinion. And I don't think that I personally don't value them at 40,000 coins per. I know that a lot of people were able to sell them for that. I think I sold one for around that. I don't know. The auction market does not like me very much, which is why I'm doing the clearance sale thing. Just put them on for their quick sell value, and people want the stuff, they can have the stuff. I don't even care anymore. Giving up caring. So that Chelios right there in the middle is our new card. So yeah, as I said, we got 19 on the auction item. And that is actually a true 100 for the inbox. It's not 100 plus that's showing as 100, or maybe it is. I don't know. But you guys all have this card already, unless you've already upgraded them to a 99. I'm not making this up. You just saw me do it live, but date issued August 16th, because the game is always a day ahead. He's a 93 overall. He plays on the right side MD. He's an offensive defenseman, which should be pretty obvious. He's like a lot of the legends, particularly the ones that are, maybe 90, but at least like 91 plus. He's pretty much max on if you want to call it skate or speed. If they showed a face stat for skate, it would probably be a little bit lower, like a max of 98, probably more like a 97. And somebody's probably figured all that stuff out and published it already, but I don't know. The 99 that you can upgrade to, I'm pretty sure those ones do list the face stats, and I'm pretty sure the skate stat on that one is a 99. This one I don't think would be, but the two that for most of the year I cared the most about would be acceleration and speed. They're both maxed. His synergies with defensive warrior, beast, and net front presence, I don't think any of those do anything towards speed or really skating. I don't know. They maybe could do something for like balance. I don't really remember. I don't really tend to focus on those, even though I don't know. At least two of the three are activated for my team right now. None of them are team based synergies. So it's just if the player has it, they get the boost. If they don't, they don't. Yeah, acceleration and speed 99, agility 1 drop down 98, balance 3 drops to 96, and then endurance at 81. It's with the current setup of the game, and then again, this would be like maybe like just a word of caution, I guess, for anyone looking to get heavy into 20. If 20 starts or soon after starting, if they do what they did last year of doing like the first like 3 tuners or updates had significant impact towards gameplay and other things. But if it either starts at or soon thereafter starting becomes a thing that's very similar to how 19 runs on its current engine, endurance is a major factor, and it's definitely, I think, important for anybody who's going to be on the edge, borderline, whether playing competitively or just even if they're terrible like me and just trying to be able to beat the final progressions on the All-Star level versus the offline versus CPU. You have to be, if you have a player such as this that you toss on your team, if you feel like he's good enough to get on there, and I'll get to the rest of the stats as to why I think I'm gonna play with him, because I have wanted to for a very long time, but until I upgrade him to 99, he's not gonna have a spot on my squad. But the endurance at 81 means it's really bad. That's really low endurance for a in August, for what should be an end game team. And so you have to be really careful in terms of his placement on any special teams. Particularly if you're even like offline versus CPU. If you're doing a thing where like either the whole objective, if there's only one, which is usually just a win, so that doesn't tend to happen very often outside of the events, and there is currently an event going. If you play 19 and haven't been in the game in 2 months and have no idea, there's an event going, an offline versus CPU event going right now, and it's got good rewards. I was going to say some of the best that we've seen all year, but I can't necessarily say that because I'm sure a bunch of the other events were pretty decent as well. But just I'm using revisionist history to kind of forget about what was and was not good then, because I did spend a little bit in this game last year before the new year. I don't remember spending in the new year, but I probably did a little bit early on. Moving on. So the endurance at 81, especially, if you, as I said, like an offline versus CPU thing where the challenge is to score a shorthanded goal. If you're like me, and again, terrible at the game, and you just kind of want to be able to, to boof out the dub as easy as possible, I have found that one of the easiest ways to ensure without too much, trouble for you to get that done is to simply get into the end of the game with a lead, and depending on what level it is, but particularly at the All-Star level, in some cases, they're only going to pull the goalie if it's a 1 goal differential. So you're whether you're up 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. Those are all go on ad infinitum. Anything that's +1. They might only pull for those. Sometimes they'll pull for more. Lower levels, I felt like earlier in the year pulled more frequently and at higher differentials than at the lower levels. But I don't. I think like maybe once ever in an offline versus CPU did they pull when they're down 4. Never anything above that. And again, I think only once at down 4. I've seen a couple times down 3, and it feels like that's happened more recently. And it's also been very specific, where it was like a thing where I think they probably knew that they should be able to beat me because they don't they glitch. They don't get glitched. So I think what happened was they pulled when they were down 2-0 with still plenty of time left, like maybe a full minute or whatever. I got the shorty, and then like they got, because I can't win a face-off against them. They got possession of the puck again, and pulled again, and they were down 3, and pulled twice the same game within like a, I don't know, 15-second at most span, and I don't remember if I ended up scoring in that one the second time or not, but it didn't matter because the whole point was just score a shorthanded goal, and there's no milestones or whatever for grand totals on most stats, and that's certainly not one of them that is kept. So yeah, I gave out that advice like back in October, and I still stand by it, that I feel like if you're just good at the game, I guess you could just kind of play the game normally, and then I've done it as well. Well, sorry, I should have pointed out if you're even strength and they pull the goalie, that's not enough. Even though they have a one-man advantage as far as the forwards that are out there, they're doing so at the expense of having somebody tending their net. So people who know this stuff, they know what I was talking about. I shouldn't have had to have been specific, but I will. So you have to kind of time the whole thing. So it's not just that they're going to pull their goalie, but it's that they pull their goalie while on a power play against you. So you're shorthanded already, and then they pull the goalie. And I only say that because it's like, why bother trying to, continuously shoot against, a big-bodied, massive rating, all-star level goalie, even the computer. If you're one of those that thinks that beating the computer is super easy and beating actual humans is much, much more difficult, why try to shoot at the equivalent of that seal in the Geico commercial that's tending net when you can shoot at an empty net? It's like, should be common sense. And at times it can be more difficult because they are generally only going to pull when they've got puck possession, and then you also kind of have to allow them to maintain puck possession for a little bit of the time, because if you just jump as soon as it says pulling away or home goalie up in the top right, because you clearly can't see that happening. It's not on your screen. You don't see the goaltender leaving the net, so you get the little flash up on the top right. If you take them off the puck, like instantaneously, as soon as you see that up on the screen, you would also have to basically shoot instantaneously and like beat back to it, where they like had pretty much not even left the crease yet. Because that when that thing pops up, that's like the game, the computer at least, saying, okay, we're going to leave the net now. Like they're just starting that process. So you have to give those slow fat asses a chance to actually get back to the bench. Be the easiest way, because they typically don't try to get back on the ice once they're off. That's what I have found to be true. don't know if that's the case 100% of the time versus just pure CPU. And clearly, you know, um, human players can control all that on their own, pull and not pull and whatever. So I feel like once they're off the ice, that's the easiest. Then you can. I've found at least half of a minute, if not a full minute or more of time, in which the opposing goaltender is just not on the ice at all, including like face-offs that you take in your defensive third and stuff like that. Times where you would think like maybe they're gonna not be as aggressive or whatever. I've found that has happened often enough where it's not out of the ordinary. However, if you jump on it immediately and take them off the puck, as soon as it pops up that they're pulling them off, a lot of times they will get back there way before you get a chance to even get into your offensive third and where where you might have thought you were going to be shooting at an empty net. Now you have to try to get your aim game on so that you can score more easily. And if you're already going to do that anyways, if you're already going to shoot against an actual goaltender, then just fuck it. Don't wait until they're pulling them. You can be up, especially like versus a rookie CPU opponent. You could be up like 60-0, and then all you got to do is just take a penalty at any point in the game, and then shoot and score. But the point that I've hammered home way too much at this point now is that you're doing that you're either doing that against some type of CPU goalie opponents, or you can try to do it against an empty net. Take your pick, which one's better. Again, synergy is here for Jelly, not really what I'm after. And I feel like don't really add a ton for me as far as what I would be looking for from him. I think he's getting a little bit of a boost to puck control. So if that moves from 88 to 90, that is helpful. I think he actually gets a boost to passing, but 96 is acceptable as far as I'm concerned, as far as a passing attribute. But the rest is just kind of not there. He's got a boomer. His slap shot is solid. The power is on the low end of good at 93, and accuracy is kind of right there also on the low end at 89. Unfortunately, the wrist shot's not up to par. Power is still pretty decent at 88, and at 84 accuracy is starting to get into the point where, end game or not, it's not even worth mentioning. You should just kind of almost like pointless to be even trying to get wrist shots off. And I could not tell you. I don't know the in between shots, the snap shots, as Edio likes to call them, the in-betweens that are kind of in between a slap shot and a wrist shot, but are usually referred to in some manner like he does with snap, because they're kind of more like a slap shot than a wrist shot, but they're not quite a snap shot. Sorry, not quite a slap shot technically. I have no idea if you were to actually pull one of those off, if like which one of the traits that it's relying on to determine the power behind it or the accuracy behind it, or if it like meshes the two. Does it take an average of the two, or does it take like what would be good for Jelios? And that's why I'm kind of bringing it up, is that if on a snapshot, if it was like, if the calculation was basically like, 0.75 slap, 0.25 wrist, or anything approaching that, anything above like half slap, half wrist, he would certainly benefit from that clearly, because his slap shot attributes are that much better than his wrist shots. So if that was the case, and I don't know that it is, and it probably is not, because that seems a bit, I don't know, complicated for what they do in this game on the development side. They do good stuff with other stuff. That's kind of specific and complicated, and they do have aspects of things that are like that, like passing gets super specific in terms of like, the distance between the passer and their intended target, and a bunch of other stuff too. So those are built into the game. It is developed that way, but I don't know. I'm not sure if saying, okay, well, this is going to be a snapshot, so we need to factor in their slap shot attributes and their wrist shot attributes, and then come up with, a reasonable expected outcome or whatever. I wouldn't really guess that that's happening. It would seem kind of unlikely, but I might try it out since I'm going to play at least 1 or 2 games with them in there. Because it doesn't matter, because I just play against the computer. It's not like it's taking up anything. I'm going to finish, if I play them 2 games, I'm going to finish both games in less time than I took to do this broadcast. Just because, again, I thought I'd be doing this broadcast back in January when I still cared about the game. And I'm not. I'm doing it in mid-August because I suck. This is very sad. But I will try that. I will try to see if I know that I got Chelly under control on the puck, if I can like try to figure out ripping some snap shots after having done some slap shots and some wrist shots with him as well, and just kind of see if I get a sense. It'd be a super small subset, even smaller than the 400 that I was talking about. Amount of times of pulling these daily reward packs, and what type of what grade of player card was picked up in them. It's going to be a super small subset on this one, and then again, I mean, I will eventually add them to the team if I can find enough collectibles to turn them into a 99. But at that point, the stats are different. His slap shot power will at least be a 99. His wrist shot accuracy might still be pretty low, like low 90s. So I guess I could still maybe try that out. I don't really know, and I also don't think it really matters. Plus, his 99's got different synergies, and they can impact shot and other stuff as well. As far as handles go, I mentioned a few of them already. They're all fine. The lowest one is puck control at 88, and it gets a boost to 90 anyways. And then as far as checking, the checking stat, body checking's 90, stick checking's 89, shot blocking's 89. Definitely, despite being an offensive defenseman, he can handle himself for not having a lot of weight, by, I don't know, today's standards. Like 191 is not super small, I guess, but it's also not really all that big for somebody who's barely pushing 6 foot. But he's, in real life, he was decent on his size and on the body, so I feel like maybe those should be slightly better, but I would take him for a 93 legend that was quote-unquote free to get and is untradeable. But could improve, and therefore, again, like the 99 version is that much better if you think that any of the checking or blocking stuff matters at all. He's also got good strength, good poise, good awareness, obviously better on the defensive side than the offensive side. Is shit for face-offs. I don't know what you're doing with your life if you're putting legend Chris Chelios in on face-offs intentionally. His durability is lower than I would like it to be. his aggression is 88, his discipline is 76, and his fighting skill is 84. So I'm based on my team setup, because I'm not gonna just like toss him into a random. I'm just gonna add him to my team in a way that doesn't harm too much by whomever is the one person that gets taken out of the squad for a couple of games. Um, I wouldn't really expect him to be jumping into a lot of fights unprovoked or kind of like unautomatic against a computer, or if I happen to play against somebody in a competitive season, if tomorrow's daily requires an online game, because today's daily until tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time does not require an online game to be completed for me, so I'm not going to be completing any. So yeah, the stats are fine. This card would have been awesome back in, I don't know, December, January, mid-August. It doesn't. It's not good enough. As much as I love him, and it'll probably give me a bias when I go to play with the card. I'll be like, oh, that was pretty sweet or whatever, and then I like won't even notice that it like wasn't even him that just did the thing that I was impressed by. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, broken record, broken record, broken record. The 99, I'm sure, is perfectly fine, and I would be happy to add to my team. This one, though, the legend, I'm gonna try it out, see how it goes, and then put other players on that have synergies that I'm looking for and stats that are up to par in my opinion. But we did get him, so we will go ahead and send it to the collection, dropping down to the allotted amount on the item inbox. It's 100 in case you didn't know. Active auction items is 25 if you didn't know. Active bids is also 25. And unopened packs, I've never really kind of tested that limit, if there is one. And in fact, I did test and kept some event-specific packs well after their event. Sometimes that worked in my favor, and other times I completely fucked myself as far as what I was intending to do. The Evo packs that I did a bunch of, if you want something that's actually somewhat entertaining on this channel, I don't know how you'd find it, but go back and search through back in October and November when the Evo packs and cards were out and stuff like that. I did a bunch, spent a bunch, and went nuts on those. There was like kind of the most exciting aspect of the game for me was the notion of having a card that was going to increase in value based off of real life gameplay. Yeah, I know better now. I learned my lesson, because I never played a full year, and now I have. But having done that, I had basically all the Evos at some point, and I also had a bunch of like unopened packs that I held. So like the one that was the Evo 1 choice pack, I'd opened it previously because like you could get it X number of times or whatever. So I kept one in my unopened packs drawer or box or whatever the hell that fucking thing is over there on the bottom right there. And I didn't open it when that event was going on, partially because I was curious if we were going to like get screwed in terms of which collectibles would carry over and be good from one to the next, because that has happened in other events where it was like, like I don't remember if that happened for Evo or not. I think it did in certain aspects, but like an Evo 1 collectible was no good for Evo 2 or whatever. But I think the thing that I'm talking about, and this is 9 months ago, so I barely remember, or more. I think it was more than 9 months. There was a thing. There was like it was a choice pack, and it said like week 1 choice pack, I think is what it said. And I waited until the week had ended, and then the event was over, everything was done, and then X number of days, maybe a week, whatever later, it was then week 2, and it had a bunch of different players. and it was basically the difference between like Patrick Kane as opposed to Pedersen, right? So um, I had the desire. It's probably pretty obvious at this point where I'm from and what team I like, but I had the desire to have Patrick Kane card. I felt like his base card played pretty well. I think by then the Thanksgiving thing had not come out yet, so I hadn't played with like something that was as good as a 91 from him yet. But when I did, I really enjoyed it. Um, and so I was hoping I'd get that as a choice, and I would do that. Um, but I waited to open it until I think after the whole event had ended. So week one had passed, week two had passed. It was just like a regular week. I still had the pack though. Opened up the pack, and it said week one the whole time until I opened it. And then suddenly it said week two, and so my choices went from being whomever week one was to whomever week two was. And I think as far as how it ended up playing out, like end game for who had the best years and who got team of the year and got up to 99, um, the week two selection choices were probably better, or maybe I'm just thinking that they were because it didn't include Taylor Hall, who didn't get a chance to finish the year. Or, you know, PK Subban, who eventually earned himself a few 99s, but was taking fucking forever to get the informs during the course of the year because he just wasn't putting up the numbers, and there were no milestones that he was achieving at the time. Long story short, I believe it worked out that at least on average, the week twos were kind of better, and I think they had more 99s than the week one did. I think week two might have included like Phil Kessel as well. So it you know, it was what it was. So it wasn't like the worst, but it was kind of annoying that I had a thing that was designated as a different thing, and then it became something else. But there were other instances like the holiday type stuff that I saved forever because I didn't need them for anything, and I just opened one this past week, and it's just a loaner card, and it opened the same way, you know, that I saw it open for everybody else that did it back when it came out, you know, last year, like last calendar year, and it gave me, you know, a chance to play for 2 days with that card if I wanted to, or 3 days or whatever the hell it is, and I don't really want to, but I'm still going to because I don't want to not have it to use. But I don't know if I had it, and I'm gonna end with this. Let's switch over to the timestamps. I know how much time I wasted here. Yeah, we'll get this so it's less than 90 minutes, less than an hour and a half. I don't know if it was my intention from the very start, particularly because I waited forever, and clearly should have waited another year to get a current gen console of any type. Finally buckled down and got it, because at the time the talk was that it was going to be at least another 2, if not 3 or 4 years until the 5th gen came out. So I went ahead and did it, got the console, and this was the first game that I got, and I made the mistake of buying 18, 17, and 16 for the loyalty stuff, and I didn't get any. I got the loyalty from 18 because luckily I did play it a couple days early, but I didn't get the loyalty from 17 or 16, which kind of sucked, but was also just kind of a thing that made a difference, particularly for below average or subpar players like myself. Made a difference for us early on, but you know, at the end of the day, it made a negligible amount of difference. But still kind of annoying to deal with. Anyways, fuck was I talking about? So I don't think I like thought, okay, I'm gonna get this game and I'm gonna like test all the mechanics and the things that they say out from a, you know, from a I don't know, from like a laboratory social science type of perspective. But I did end up doing that with the aspects that I could do anything with. And unfortunately, like, I wasn't going to spend, um, a crazy amount of money on the game. And so that was a hindrance. And then also I suck at the game, so I was getting nothing as far as rewards from competitive play, and I wasn't even really that great at putting together the rewards from the offline versus CPU play either. And also, apparently, the way that I think about markets, which is what my advanced degrees are in, as well as my experience in life and work, for some reason, how the auction house works, from what I saw over here on the PlayStation side, and I understand Xbox played a little differently this year, it's like, it's not that I would say I'm completely befuddled by every aspect of it. That'd be a bit of a stretch. I'm not that dramatic, but yeah, a good amount of stuff made little to no sense. Other stuff made sense only if you kind of assume the worst about the counterparty. And then there's bots and all that kind of shit as well. So you put all that together, and it very clearly became a thing that even when I made the change back around the time of the Evo, when I'd sold, so that would have been Halloween? Is it Halloween? Yeah. So it was the Halloween, what the fuck was it? Was it the PK Subban? I think so. There was a good card that was going for a lot. No, Bufflin, Halloween Dustin Bufflin. Hawks fan, I should remember that kind of shit. At the time, he was easily fetching. I was seeing. I was put a bunch in the watch list. I saw a bunch that actually sold, and I watched some go down to expiration. Had a bunch that were being sold for, 300,000 coins or higher, and I went to sell him for 350,000 coins. And I put enough of like a duration and yada yada, hoping that like it would go through, and if it didn't, I'd bring down the price a little bit. Well, I picked a specific price. I didn't have much of a range, and I forgot a zero, so I sold it for 10% of what I intended to, which was pretty close to 10% of the expected value in the market, and I got like 29,000 coins as an immediate buy now on the Halloween Bufflin. Now I said I was going to do this in less than 90 minutes. Why don't we see how quickly we can get over to that? It'd be nuts if it was on the first page or two. It's not going to be. There's Guy going for 270. Just to put things in perspective in terms of the difference between what was worth 300K back then versus now. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I don't come into here very often. So here's one. Somebody wants 50K for it. There's only 80 of them, but let's get a bit. I always do that. I always go the wrong way. Let's get a bit more specific here. Not enough. Okay. Oh, there's only 13, so it's basically what you see on the screen there. Let's just make it so we only see what's on there. Somebody wants 35, hoping for 45. That's insane. 80 to 88, 90, not going to get that. Probably not going to get 75 either. Day in an hour. Probably worked with themselves, or somebody's thinking that that's a flyer. When you could put a bid in the next 3 hours, maybe this wasn't up at the time, but if you could put a bid in now for 35K, I feel like that's pretty close to being able to put in a bid for what would have been maybe close to 2 days at the time of 23K. 85.90, you're not getting that either, and then basically exactly 50. So it seems like he might be able to garner close to 50K at this point, but even if you were to say like the average is like this card here, or this person's bid. The bid is uh, 35 to 45K. So that's actually less. Sorry, that's actually a little bit more than what I got from selling it erroneously back when Halloween was going on, when this was one of the best cards in the game, and also during a very brief time of maybe 2 weeks in which physical play, checking, and stuff like that actually mattered in the game, and it doesn't anymore. I mean, these are the underlying stats. You get the 3 synergies. Speed's not there. It's 90. Shots not there. Power is 90. Accuracy is a bit lower. It really was like the fact that he had a 96 checking, and his defense was pretty solid at 90 as well. And the synergies added to that. He's got heavy hitter on and beast. So it played fun. A 6'5", 260 dude who can actually move fast enough at that time. It was a fun card at that time, and was one of the highest rated cards at that time, outside of, I guess, probably those who were winning like top 5 or top 10 in the competitive seasons or whatever, HUT champs and shit like that. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that apparently in August people are still trying to sell it for as much as I erroneously sold it for, but clearly not. If I still had it and hadn't accidentally sold it, but it was like hiding somewhere and I like forgot that it was there and now wanted to sell it, I'd still get about the same here in August than I would have got back in Halloween, and I would never get anywhere close to what I probably would have got for it if I had just been smart enough to put in the extra 0. So that's a fun little story. I said I was going to finish in an hour and a half. I will. One of them just dropped off. I wasn't paying attention how much time was on that first one. It appears to be the one that went away. When that happened and a couple other things happened, and Evo's got a little fucked for me and shit like that, so I decided that I was going to try to make my entire team nothing but untradeable cards. So this card didn't qualify for that anyways. It was tradable. Obviously I sold it, and so I just made up my mind that I was going to get rid of all my tradable cards, and I was going to just stack my squad with untradables. If they were like anything close to this, like a 90 and tradable, then I would have definitely looked to see if I can get some value from the auction house from it. But I would have come in here, and I would have maybe put on like a start price of 23 and a buy now of 34. Just to like ensure that it was going to sell. Like I sold everything super cheap, which is why I still have no coins now in August, and no like good cards or players or whatever. I got 30 seconds, so I'll finish up. So I sold what was worth selling, and it was very little of that, and then just continuously cycled through and traded the rest of the stuff, getting untradables out of that, which is why I did so many sets and why I had Joe Sakic as early as I did. But today, I should put him up on the screen, but I've got 8 seconds. All about the legend Chris Chelios. Going to try him out in a couple games, see how it goes, and then hopefully make him 99 in the future. Peace out, yo.